Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wine. Welcome back to art class. Today we're going to be doing a watercolor worksheet where we will be practicing two different techniques. First of all, we will be practicing how to create a wash of color, and then we will be using those washes of color to create glazes of one color over another. These are the two techniques that we are studying in class. So today, you will need a paintbrush, your napkin or your paper towel, a cup of water, a paint set, and you will need your painting worksheet. It looks like this. You see several different circles, and those circles have places where they overlap, just like the shapes in the artworks we were looking at. When I'm using watercolor paint, I like to start with the lightest color first, the color that has the lightest value, because it keeps my water from getting dark, dirty, and muddy. So if I'm using the primary colors, yellow, red, and blue, which one of those colors, yellow, red, or blue, has the lightest value? Yellow. Which one has the medium value? Red. And blue has the darkest value. So we're going to save the blue until last. So the first thing that you and your partner will be doing, and you can practice this together, but then you'll each create your own workshop, is you're going to create a wash of color. I like to start by always checking my brush, making sure it's clean. And then because I'm starting with yellow, I'm going to get a little bit of yellow on my brush, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that yellow up here in my paint lid. This acts as a palette for my paint. And because I know I want it to be a wash, and a wash is a light transparent color, I'm just going to take my paintbrush and just drip a few drops of water into there. Then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to paint in this circle with the yellow. Now today we're just using some cheap copy paper, so it's not going to be the best for painting, but it will at least show us what the colors will look like as we experiment. Once I have painted that circle yellow, I want to clean my brush. I can leave this yellow here for now because I might want to use a little bit later, but at the end of class, remember, I'm going to have to clean my whole palette. Check it on my napkin, make sure it's clean. Then I'm ready for my next color. My next color was red, so I'm going to make a wash of the red. I'm going to get a little paint on my brush, stirring gently. I'm going to put some of that paint into my lid. And then I'm just going to add in a few drops of water. And now I'm ready to paint my next wash of color red in the red circle. So this is where I'm going to start to see my first bit of glazing. Remember, glazing is where I have two colors that are going to overlap. So when I overlap the red into the yellow, I'm going to see what that color looks like when it mixes together. Then, once I'm finished, I'm going to clean my brush, wipe it on the edge, check it on my napkin, make sure it's clean. And now I'm ready to create my wash of blue in a different section of my lid. So I'm going to get a little blue. Stirring gently. Getting some blue in my paint lid. And then because this is a very dark color and I want my wash to be light and transparent, I'm just going to add in a few drips of water. And now I'm ready to create my wash of blue and I will get to see what it looks like in the areas that it's glazing together. So I'll start with the blue. And then what happens when that blue glazes with the yellow and when it glazes with the red. I can't paint too long on this paper because the paper is very thin and it will tear very easily when it gets wet. So now if I zoom in closely, I can see exactly what happens with that glazing. I can see what it looks like when the red and the yellow mix together, when the red and the blue mix together, when the blue and the yellow mix together, and I can see what happens when all three colors mix together. The bottom of your sheet gives you a place where you can experiment with some colors of your own. I can try 2 warm colors, 2 cool colors, and I can even create some of my own. So let's finish that off. Remember, the bottom is whatever colors you choose to make. Now, I don't recommend putting the paint set on top of the painting for what I think are obvious reasons. So I'm just going to slide this up. And I'm doing all of this to keep it in view of the camera. At your table, you can just leave your paint set up the same. So my warm colors are red, orange, and yellow. What happens? Oh, I forgot to clean my brush. That's what happens. So now that area is dirty. That's not going to work. So I have to use my napkin, clean it out. Now that I know my brush is clean, I can start again with that yellow. And what if I paint this whole box yellow? I'm trying to mostly stay inside the lines because that's what I'm going to have to do for my final painting. And then I already know what happens when I glaze the red in with it. What would happen if I took just a little bit of orange? I don't want too much. I always like to go to my palette first and maybe add a drip of water. But what would happen if I took a little bit of orange and I just added some orange in with that yellow? And now I can clean my brush and I can experiment with some of the cool colors. What if I take my blue? What if I paint the whole thing blue? I haven't done any experimenting with the other 2 colors, the green and the violet. What if I do a little experimenting with that? What if I take a little green? I want to be careful not to let the green and the orange mix together, so I'm just using a little. What if I add one little area with the green, glazing over that blue? And what if I come back, clean my brush, and what if I get some of the violet and I do the same thing? Ooh, there's the blue. Add a little water because this is very dark. And again, what happens if I come back in here and I glaze a little of violet over the blue? This is giving me an idea about what my colors might look like in my final artwork. Now down at the bottom, I have a place to just experiment with whatever I want. So what happens if I take some colors that are warm and cool and I mix them together? What if I take the very warm red in one box, and what if I have a lot of blue? Maybe I'll try to use that. Maybe I'll come back over and I'll put some blue in this box. So the bottom boxes are yours to experiment with what you want. You don't have to do like I'm doing. Then I'm going to clean my brush. What happens if I mix some of that violet in with the red? What is that going to look like if I glaze some violet in with the red? Clean my brush. And then what happens? Well, what if I take some of this orange? What happens if I take some of this orange and I glaze it in with the blue? So it's always a good idea to try out your colors on a practice sheet before you put them in your final artwork to see which color combinations you like. Once I'm finished experimenting, I definitely want to clean my brush, make sure it's clean, and then I can use my napkin to clean my tray lid completely. If I have some little cracks where I can't get the paint out of my napkin, then I can take my brush, I can kind of use my brush like it's a little mop. And then I can use that to dry it up. It's very important that I keep my paint set clean because it was clean when I got it. I want to make sure that I keep it clean so that an artist is taking care of their artwork. Once it's all the way clean, I will come around and check it, and when I see that it's clean, I'll give you a thumbs up and you'll be ready to close your paint set. I hope you enjoyed the lesson today. I hope you enjoy practicing, creating different washes, and glazing colors together to make new colors. I can't wait to see what you create. And until next time, keep on creating.